A freezing Chicago street, a voice from the grave, and a billionaire who thought grief had taken everything, until it gave him back something impossible. What happens when the past you buried comes alive in a stranger's song? Stay until the end. This story will wreck you in the best way. The cold bit through Terrence's coat like teeth. January in Chicago didn't care about your money or your pain. He walked fast, head down, the way he'd walked every Thursday for the past 14 months. Same route. Same time. Same emptiness chewing at his chest. His driver had asked twice if he wanted the car. Terrence said no both times. Walking hurt more. That's what he needed. The Michigan Avenue crowds moved around him like water around a stone. Tourists taking pictures. Couples holding hands. Everyone living lives that made sense. Terrence's phone buzzed in his pocket. Probably David from the office. Another acquisition. Another zero added to a number that stopped mattering the day Camille stopped breathing. He should answer. He didn't. The music hit him before he saw her. It came from the corner near the old theater, where street performers set up when the weather wasn't trying to kill them. Guitar strings and a voice that made his legs forget how to work. Terrence stopped walking. People bumped into him. Someone said, "Watch it," but the words sounded like they were coming from underwater. That voice. His hand found the brick wall beside him. Cold. Rough. Real. But that voice wasn't real. Couldn't be real. The singer sat on a wooden crate, guitar across her lap, eyes closed. Brown skin. Locks pulled back with a purple scarf. Worn jacket with a patch on the elbow. Nothing about her looked like Camille except that voice pouring out of her throat like liquid gold. Terrence's chest squeezed. His vision blurred at the edges. The song was "Lean on Me," Camille's favorite, the one she hummed while making breakfast, while driving, while falling asleep against his shoulder. But it was more than the song. It was the rasp on certain words. The way she bent the notes. The tiny breath she took before the chorus. Things you couldn't copy. Things that lived in someone's bones. A small crowd had gathered. People dropped bills into the open guitar case at her feet. Terrence couldn't move. Couldn't breathe right. His heart hammered against his ribs like it was trying to break out. The song ended. The woman opened her eyes, dark brown, warm, and smiled at the applause. Her smile punched Terrence in the stomach. Same smile. Same exact smile. "Thank you," she said, her speaking voice lower, rougher. "Y'all are too kind. It's colder than my first apartment out here, but your love keeps me warm." People laughed. Dropped more money. Started walking away. Terrence moved forward. His legs felt like someone else was controlling them. He stopped 3 feet from her crate, staring like a crazy person. She looked up. Her smile flickered. "You okay, brother?" "Where?" His voice came out broken. He swallowed. Tried again. "Where did you learn to sing like that?" Her eyebrows pulled together. Like what? Like her. Like... He couldn't say it. Saying it would make him sound insane. Maybe he was insane. 14 months of grief could crack anybody open. "Like someone I knew," he finished. The woman's expression shifted. Something careful moved into her eyes. She'd probably dealt with every kind of crazy Chicago streets could offer. "I learned from my sister," she said slowly. "Long time ago." Terrence's phone buzzed again. The world kept spinning. Cars honked. A train rumbled past on the L tracks above them. Normal sounds in a moment that felt like the ground was opening up. "Your sister," he repeated. "Yeah." The woman started packing her guitar. Her movements were quick, efficient. Ready to leave if this man turned dangerous. "Look, I appreciate the compliment, but I need to get to my next." What was her name? The woman stopped moving. Her hands froze on the guitar case zipper. When she looked up at him, her eyes had changed. Sharper. Guarded. "Why? Please." Terrence heard the desperation in his own voice and didn't care. "Just tell me her name." A long moment passed. Wind whipped down the street, carrying the smell of roasted nuts from a vendor cart. The woman studied his face like she was trying to read a book written in another language. "Camille," she said finally. Her name was Camille. The world tilted. Terrence grabbed for the wall again, but missed. His knee hit the sidewalk. Cold concrete. Sharp pain. Real. "Hey!" The woman dropped her guitar and crouched beside him. "Hey, you having a heart attack? Should I call 911? Camille Blake, Terrence gasped. Born August 14th, 1985. Grew up on the South Side. Had a scar on her left wrist from when she fell off a bike when she was 9. Could make the best cornbread in Illinois. Died in a car accident on November 18th, 2023, at 11:47 p.m. on the Eisenhower Expressway because some drunk driver decided to cross 3 lanes without looking. The woman's face went white. Actually white under her brown skin. She sat back on her heels, staring at him like he'd just spoken in tongues. "That's impossible," she whispered. "I'm Terrence Blake." His voice was steadier now. Cold pavement under his knee. Cold air in his lungs. Cold truth in his throat. "I was her husband." The woman shook her head. Kept shaking it. No. Camille didn't. I've been looking for her for 27 years. Every database. Every social media site. Every search engine. She just disappeared after they split us up. "Split you up?" "Foster care." The woman's voice cracked. "I was 5. She was 10. They said they'd keep us together, but they lied. I've been searching my whole life." Terrence's brain tried to catch up. Camille never talked about her childhood. Said it was too painful. He'd respected that space. Never pushed. Now that space was filling with a truth that made his chest ache in a completely different way. "She had a sister," he said quietly. More to himself than to her. "Had," the woman repeated. The word fell between them like a stone down a well. You said died." Terrence nodded. He couldn't speak. If he spoke, he'd break, and he'd already broken so many times in the past 14 months that he wasn't sure there were any pieces left to shatter. The woman stood up fast. Stepped back. Her hands were shaking. "What was the scar from?" "What?" "You said she had a scar on her left wrist. What was it from?" "She told me she fell off a bike. Needed 7 stitches." "What color was the bike?" Terrence's mind raced back through conversations, through lazy Sunday mornings when Camille would trace her scar and smile at old memories. "Purple. With a white basket. She said it was the most beautiful thing she'd ever owned." The woman made a sound. Not quite a sob. Not quite a gasp. Something in between. "I gave her that bike. For her 10th birthday. 2 days before they took me away." The street noise faded. Terrence heard his own heartbeat. Heard her breathing. Heard the truth settling into place like bones after a break. "What's your name?" he asked. She wiped her face with the back of her hand. "Jasmine. Jasmine Williams. Camille talked about you." The lie came out smooth. Necessary. Because Camille hadn't talked about her, had buried that pain so deep that even her husband hadn't known it existed, and this woman didn't need to carry that weight too. "She looked for you. Never stopped looking." Jasmine's face crumpled. She covered her mouth with both hands. Tears ran down her cheeks, dripping off her jaw onto her worn jacket. Terrence stood up. His knee throbbed where he'd hit the concrete. Can I buy you coffee? Or lunch? Or—" He didn't know what he was asking for. Permission to not be alone with this moment. A chance to hear Camille's voice one more time through someone else's throat. A way to make sense of the universe dropping a piece of his dead wife into his path on a freezing Thursday in January. Jasmine lowered her hands. Her eyes were red. Devastated. But underneath the devastation, something else was growing. Something that looked like hope mixed with hunger. "Tell me everything," she said. "Tell me everything about my sister." If this story is touching your heart, please hit that subscribe button and give us a like. Your support helps stories like this reach people who need them most. Let's grow this community together, because every voice matters. The coffee shop smelled like espresso and cinnamon. Terrence bought 2 large coffees and a table in the back corner where the noise couldn't reach them. Jasmine sat across from him, hands wrapped around her cup like it was the only solid thing in the world. "Start from the beginning," she said. Her voice was hoarse. "How did you meet her?" Terrence's throat felt tight. Tech conference. 2015. She was working registration, and I was speaking on a panel about artificial intelligence. She asked if AI would ever understand jazz music. I said no. She said that meant AI would never really be intelligent. A small smile touched Jasmine's lips. That sounds like something she'd say. I asked her to dinner. She said no. I asked again the next day. She said no again. I asked 17 times before she finally said yes. 17. Jasmine's smile grew. She always did like making people work for it. Best work I ever did. The words came out rough. Terrence took a drink of coffee. Too hot. Burned his tongue. Good. Pain meant this was real. We got married 2 years later. Small ceremony. Just us and a judge and her best friend Keisha. No family. Terrence shook his head. She said she didn't have any. I have parents in Atlanta, but we're not close. Camille said we'd make our own family. That's what mattered. Jasmine's face did something complicated. Hurt and understanding mixed together. She thought I was gone. Really gone. Tell me about foster care, Terrence said. Tell me what happened. Jasmine stared into her coffee cup. Steam rose between them. Outside the window, people hurried past, living regular lives. Inside this corner booth, 2 people sat in the wreckage of a truth that changed everything. Our mom died when I was 4, Jasmine said quietly. Overdose. No dad in the picture. Camille raised me for a year by herself. She was 9 years old, lying to neighbors, stealing food from corner stores, making sure I ate even when she didn't. Terrence's chest ached. He'd known Camille was strong. Hadn't known she was that strong that young. Social services finally figured it out. Took us both. Promised they'd keep us together. Jasmine's jaw tightened. They didn't. Said it would be easier to place us separately. Easier for who, I wanted to know. Not easier for us. Did you ever see her again? After they separated you? Once. 3 months later. They arranged a visit. Camille held me so tight I couldn't breathe. She promised she'd find me. Promised she'd come back. Jasmine's voice cracked. That was the last time I saw her face. Terrence's hand moved across the table. Stopped halfway. He didn't know if touch would help or hurt. Jasmine saw the movement. Reached out. Their fingers met in the middle. Her hand was cold from holding the coffee cup. His was cold from holding on to grief for 14 months. I aged out of the system at 18, Jasmine continued. Started searching immediately. But Williams is her foster name. I didn't know her real last name was Blake. Didn't know she'd gotten married. Didn't know she was living 3 neighborhoods away from where I perform every week. 3 neighborhoods, Terrence repeated. The cruelty of it sat between them like a third person at the table. Tell me about her life, Jasmine said. Tell me she was happy. This was the question. The one that mattered. Terrence could lie. Make it clean. Make it simple. But Jasmine deserved the truth, messy and complicated as truth always was. She was happy, he said. And she was haunted. Some days I'd find her staring out windows like she was looking for something she'd lost. She'd wake up crying and wouldn't tell me why. She threw herself into work, into keeping busy, like stillness scared her. Jasmine nodded slowly, understanding in her eyes. But she laughed, Terrence continued. God, she laughed. This big, full sound that filled up rooms. She loved terrible reality TV and good barbecue and Sunday mornings when we didn't have anywhere to be. She taught coding classes to kids in Englewood for free because she said everyone deserved a chance. She was the best person I ever knew. What happened? Jasmine's voice was barely audible. The accident. Terrence's grip tightened on her hand. She was driving home from those coding classes. Late. I told her to take a Uber. She said she needed the drive to decompress. Some guy, his voice broke. He forced it back together. Some guy in a pickup truck, drunk, crossed 3 lanes, hit her head-on. Jasmine's other hand covered her mouth. She died instantly. They said she didn't suffer. I don't know if that makes it better or worse. The coffee shop sounds filtered back in. Espresso machine hissing. Someone ordering a vanilla latte. Normal life continuing like the world hadn't just cracked open. "I'm sorry," Jasmine whispered. "I'm so sorry I wasn't there." "You didn't know. How could you know? I should have looked harder. Should have found her." "She should have looked harder too," Terrence said. The words felt disloyal but true. "Maybe she was scared. Maybe the pain of losing you was too big. I don't know. I loved her completely and I didn't know half of what she carried." They sat in that truth for a long moment. Two people connected by a woman who wasn't there. Two people who'd loved her in different ways. Two people who'd lost her twice. Jasmine pulled her hand back, wiped her face. "Can I see pictures?" Terrence pulled out his phone. His hands shook as he opened the photo album. Hundreds of pictures. Thousands. He'd taken pictures of everything because he never wanted to forget a single moment. He turned the phone toward Jasmine. The first photo showed Camille at their wedding. Simple white dress. Sunflowers in her hands. Smile like sunrise. Jasmine made a sound. Pressed her fingers to the screen. "She looks like Mom." I'd forgotten what Mom looked like, but she looks exactly like Mom. Terrence scrolled. Camille making pancakes. Camille at the beach. Camille asleep on the couch with a book on her chest. Camille teaching kids to code, patient and focused. Camille alive in 1,000 small moments that would never come again. Jasmine cried quietly. Steady tears that just kept coming. Terrence slid napkins across the table. His own eyes burned, but he was too empty to cry anymore. He'd cried all his tears. Had nothing left but this hollow ache that lived in his chest like a second heart. "I need to show you something," he said. He swiped to a video. Hit play. Camille's voice filled the small space between them. The video showed her singing in their kitchen. Sunday morning. No makeup. Old t-shirt. Spatula in her hand. Singing "Lean on Me" while scrambling eggs. Jasmine's whole body went still. She stared at the screen like it was a window into heaven. When the video ended, she looked up at Terrence. "That's where I got it. The way I sing. I got it from her." "She got it from you too," Terrence said. Voices run in blood. Something shifted in Jasmine's expression. Something that looked like purpose taking shape. "What are you going to do now? With all this?" Terrence hadn't thought that far ahead. He'd been living minute to minute for 14 months. Walking the same route every Thursday. Avoiding the places that hurt. Trying to survive. "I don't know," he admitted. "I have an idea," Jasmine said. She leaned forward. Energy coming into her voice. The same energy Camille got when she had a plan. Camille spent her life teaching kids who had nothing. Kids like we were. Right. Terrence nodded. "And you're a billionaire." He flinched. Hated that word. Money felt obscene when the person he'd have traded it all for was gone. "Don't look like that," Jasmine said. "Money is just a tool. The question is what you build with it." She pulled out her phone. Cracked screen. Cheap case. She pulled up a voice memo app. "Listen to this." She played a recording. A young girl's voice. Shy. Sweet. Singing Amazing Grace with more heart than technical skill. "That's destiny." 13. 3 different foster homes. Uses music to cope. There are thousands of kids like her. Kids like Camille and I were. Kids who need art and music and hope. Terrence saw where this was going. His mind, the same mind that had built a tech empire from nothing, started putting pieces together. "A foundation," he said. "Camille's Voice Foundation," Jasmine said. The name hung in the air between them. Perfect. Right. Music therapy for foster kids. Programs that keep siblings together. Resources for kids aging out of the system. We use music and technology to do what the system wouldn't, keep families connected. Terrence felt something move in his chest. Not hope exactly. Not yet. But maybe the space where hope could grow. And we find separated siblings, he added. Use databases, DNA testing, AI matching. Help other families avoid what you and Camille went through. Jasmine's eyes lit up. Yes. Exactly yes. They talked for 3 hours. Mapping it out. Making it real. The coffee shop staff started cleaning around them. Finally asked politely if they could close up. Outside, the January cold hit them again. The sun was setting. Orange light on gray buildings. Jasmine picked up her guitar case from where she'd left it near the door. I'll call my lawyers tomorrow, Terrence said. Start setting it up properly. This needs to be done right. I'm going to keep performing, Jasmine said. Keep singing. For Camille. She'd like that. They stood on the sidewalk. Two strangers who weren't strangers anymore. Two people connected by loss and love, and a woman who'd been more than either of them had fully known. Thank you, Jasmine said, for telling me about her. For letting me know she had a good life. Thank you for finding me, Terrence said. For giving me a reason to wake up tomorrow. Jasmine smiled. Camille's smile. You think she'd be proud? Of what we're going to do? Terrence thought about his wife. Fierce and loving and haunted and brave. He thought about her teaching kids to code. About her laughing at terrible TV. About her singing in the kitchen with a spatula in her hand. Yeah, he said. I think she'd be proud. 6 months later, Terrence stood in a community center on the south side. The building used to be abandoned. Now it had fresh paint and new instruments and computers loaded with music software. The sign outside read, Camille's Voice Foundation, where every child's song matters. Jasmine stood beside him. She ran the music program now. Still performed on weekends, but most days she was here, teaching kids like Destiny how to turn pain into music. The room was full. Foster kids and social workers and donors and press. David from the office had tried to make Terrence give a speech. He'd refused. Jasmine spoke instead. My sister Camille believed every person deserved a chance, she said into the microphone. Her voice didn't shake. She believed love was stronger than systems. She believed music could save lives because it saved hers. This foundation is her legacy. But it's also her voice, still singing, still fighting, still loving, long after she's gone. The room erupted in applause. Terrence felt his eyes burn. Still couldn't cry. But the hollow ache in his chest felt different now. Not gone. It would never be gone. But filled with something else. Something that looked like purpose. After the ceremony, a young girl approached them. Maybe 8 years old. Big eyes. Shy smile. Miss Jasmine, she said quietly, can you teach me to sing like you? Jasmine crouched down. Baby, I can teach you to sing like you. That's the only voice that matters. The girl beamed. Terrence watched them walk toward the music room together. Watched Jasmine put her hand on the girl's shoulder. Watched a piece of Camille live on in someone else's kindness. His phone buzzed. A text from the foundation's coordinator. Another sibling match. 2 brothers separated 8 years ago. Found through their database. Reunion scheduled for next week. Terrence looked at the text for a long time. Then he looked up at the sign on the wall. Camille's face in a photo. Smiling. Alive in memory and in action and in every child who found their voice in this building. I love you, he whispered. I'm still here. Still fighting. Still trying to be worthy of what you taught me. No answer came. He didn't expect one. But somewhere, in Jasmine's laugh, in a child's song, in siblings reuniting after years apart, he felt something that might have been her voice. Still singing. Still loving. Still showing him the way forward. The work wasn't grief therapy. It didn't erase the pain. But it gave the pain purpose. And some days that was enough. Some days that was everything. Thank you for watching until the end. If this story moved you, please subscribe and let us know in the comments where you're watching from. Your story matters to us. Hit that notification bell so you never miss our next powerful tale. See you in the next story.